is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Wednesday, April 21st. I'm Jeff here with my friends Stephanie and Al. How we feeling today, guys?
Great.
Good. I love it when Al comes. It's
Just
always
his
like a
face
nice
makes me smile, right?
All right,
Yeah.
now I got pressure.
He's so cheeky.
It's good to see my friends. I love doing the show with my friends.
Yeah,
I do.
cheeky.
He
Al's
does always
very
look a bit
cheeky.
cheeky. You never know what he's going to come out with. So.
That's right. Well, let's
No
have some
pressure.
fun. But first, we have some. It was an emotional day for everybody out there, for so many people in the United States, as Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all counts for the murder of George Floyd. His death sparked a global movement for racial justice and police reform, and some celebrities and athletes reacted to the news, as we all did. Oprah tweeted, quote, "Relieved and emotional in ways I didn't expect. I cried tears of joy as each verdict was read." She went on to say she was grateful for the witness, the jurors, and for the teen who captured the video of Floyd's arrest, Darnella Frazier. Kerry Washington wrote, quote, This fight for justice is not over. We have a lot of work to do, but right now, please take care of yourself and let's take care of each other. Prayers and love to the family of George Floyd. LeBron James tweeted out one word. There you go, Al. Accountability. And former NFL player Emmanuel Ocho wrote, "You don't applaud a fish for swimming and you don't applaud the justice system for providing justice. But thankfully, today we can breathe a sigh of relief." So celebrities, athletes, everybody weighing in on this. Al, how do you feel today, buddy?
Man, you know, I didn't post anything on social media because I wanted to take time and process this. And, you know, there's so many things, Steph. I think it's kind of an amalgamation of all the tweets that we saw. We're happy that there's accountability. We're thinking about the Floyd family. You know, we are happy that justice was served, but we're not saying that now the fight is over. But, you know, I also think, Jeff, about just, you know, all the people that now have to go on with their life. The gentleman that called the police that said that he has regret, and just thinking about how for the rest of his life. Think about a silly mistake you've made in your life that you just think about at a red light like, man, I can't believe I messed his name up, you know? And for this to say I caused all this, and the young woman who was harassed online originally for recording it and is now being viewed as the hero she is, you know, the trauma that she'll have to work through for the rest of her life. So trauma has a ripple effect, so I'm thinking about that too, but at the same time, it's a good day.
How do you feel, Steph?
Well, I feel like I don't really see this as being a victory, because I agree with what LeBron James tweeted. He put accountability, because I don't feel as though justice was served. It was accountability. It's really sad that we're celebrating this, to be honest, because this should be the base level of standards.
You're right.
You know, a victory would be that George Floyd was alive. That would be a victory. And it's sad, really, to see, obviously, like, people saying this is the wake-up call. Maybe this is the momentum that we need. I mean, geez, how many times are people going to hit the snooze button? You know, this has been going on forever, like, as you know, longer than any of us have been alive. Our grandparents, whatever, you know, ancestors. It's sad. So, I mean, I'm glad that, yes, this was the verdict. But, I mean, until literally our justice system in the United States of America changes, you know, I just hope that it continues onwards. But it's, you know, I feel like, yes, am I happy that this was the verdict? Yes, but should we all have been hoping for that? No, it should be pretty obvious.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think relief is a word that we all kind of, like LeBron James, one word. We're all relieved this happened, right? Maybe not celebratory, like you said, but relieved this happened. Yeah. And I like that you point out, Al, just the people involved, the humanity of it, right? Because we're so quick to post a headline and make our judgment based on our political opinion. We tune into a certain TV channel based on what we think already, and we're already the juror at home on social media. We need to break down George Floyd's family. They lost a family member. Those poor people around that you said, just everybody. We have to break it down in human terms that everybody's affected by this, not just the headline and what you think on Twitter, right? So I'm glad you brought that point up, man.
I appreciate you guys' sentiments. Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys, we're going to switch gears here. Actress Eva Mendes has sparked another debate online about spanking, okay? So the mother of two recently posted one of her favorite parenting quotes on her Instagram page, and it said, quote, "Spanking does for a child's development what hitting a spouse does for a marriage." Many comments from her fans supported the idea that spanking is wrong, but a few disagreed. One said, "I was spanked, and now I am a respectful adult, and believe me, I deserve those whoopings. I was a brat." Another said, "She was also spanked as a child, but does not correlate spanking with someone hitting their spouse." But a recent study out of the University of Texas found that a child who was hit or yelled at was more likely to display delinquent or antisocial behavior. You know how I feel about these studies.
Right.
I don't know how accurate these studies are, but what do you? I don't even know where to go with this.
Well,
what do you think about this?
I'm going to ask you guys, because I'm the only one sat here that hasn't got children.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to take it there because listen, for Eva Mendes, the post, I never tell anybody how to parent, right? I'm not for beating your children at all, but I never tell anybody how to parent. I hate when people try to parent shame me. Does he still have a bottle? Does he still have a pacifier? Get his hair cut.
Right.
How about get your opinions away from me?
Yeah.
So I don't want to tell anybody how to raise their children. Do you experience that as a parent too, Al?
Somewhat. Obviously, you and Jordan are much more open about your family life because the world knows you as Jeff and Jordan, and seeing your kids grow up, they're part of your life, you know, your extended universe. For me, I never have spanked my children just because I don't think we really understand, like, as an adult, how much bigger we are than kids. And when you go to hit anything in anger, you just might lose control, and just hitting a kid a little bit harder than you wanted to could cause serious damage. We saw that there was a football player, I'm not going to say his name, but it was 2 seasons ago. He spanked his child and he ruptured his testicle.
Yes.
Like, that's for life. And, you know, this guy is literally built like a superhero. And almost, if you think about the size that you are to my 6-year-old Bradford, I'm like a superhero. I could pick him up with one hand like Superman, and with that strength, you could accidentally do something really bad. So I choose to use my words, but I also choose to use those words to tell anybody I'm not here to tell you how to parent.
Yeah, me too. And my parents growing up led by discipline, right?
Right.
So they were always like, they made me regret my decisions. So instead of like hitting me, which I almost was like, I'd rather get beaten than have them like just ignore me and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just like they're disappointed.
Disappointment, that's what I said. That's the word I'm looking for,
That's the
exactly.
worst.
The disappointment, that's what they led by. And that hurt me more than I feel like that if I would have got hit or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
but
yeah.
Again, not condoning any of that, but I learned that from my parents, and I kind of instill that into my children. I'm like, just very disappointed in you. Very.
Hang your head in shame.
And I
Remember Shame from Game of Thrones?
I fake cry. I fake cry sometimes, like you made Papa cry. And then I'll fake cry. It works.
Yeah.
Until they're 4.
Yeah.
And you're
Emotional
like, all right.
manipulation. Never hurt anybody.
Maybe there's going to be a study about that. Okay, Ellen DeGeneres made an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live last night. However, Jimmy did not put Ellen in the hot seat over her alleged toxic behavior on her show. Instead, the two played games with fans, and Ellen told a story about how she rushed her wife, Portia, to the hospital after drinking 3 cans of a cannabis-infused drink. Let's watch.
I rushed her to the emergency room, and her entire...
You drove her yourself?
I did. I mean, I kicked in, like, my adrenaline was like, because I just had to rush her there. So it's probably not safe. I shouldn't be saying any of this. I was...
Well, at least you're headed to the emergency room.
I realize, yes, yeah.
All right, before we get to Ellen and why Jimmy didn't, and Al's face, Al, you weren't here one day when we were doing the show, and I told Stephanie, did you ever hear of that story when the guy ate the weed brownies? I believe he was a police officer.
Yes.
And he called 911. Remember?
That was like the beginning of YouTube. I remember that.
Hilarious, and Stephanie has no idea what I'm talking
We'll
about.
play it for you at the commercial break. It's great.
And everybody should play it for themselves at home.
Yes.
It's hilarious. Anyways, Al, you made a face about this.
Yeah,
what were you
happy.
thinking?
I was just like, hey, we had uncomfortable conversations with not Beau Biden, who's the one that's the other son that's had the drug issues. Hunter, yes. Hunter, and you know, that's why you're on the show. I believe Ellen is doing the "Hey guys, I promise I'm a human being" tour, and she needs to account for this. We didn't ask for a lukewarm, unfunny story about cannabis. Like, first of all, you sound like a boomer. Everybody's figured that out. So, like, why don't we address this? And there's a huge elephant in the room that's still there. Yeah. So, Steph, why go at all?
No, I think obviously she's gone there and she said, I will not answer any questions, or she's obviously put her foot down because I think, obviously I think he would have wanted to go there. Any talk show would, you know, if you're going to get Ellen on the show and given all the controversy and the rumors and like the allegations and all the statements that people have given, people saying they've been fired, treated badly, all sorts of horrendous things. You expect Ellen, of all people, she's like going to be the face of the people, to stand up and say something. And yeah, it might be really uncomfortable and awkward, or she might say the story that she said, I had no idea what was going on my set, whatever. But I think she should have used that platform, and she just should have used her status to say like how bad she feels, how she's like changed the system and where she works and how people are treated, and then she's gone in and done something about it. I think, like you said, using that story just made her seem pathetic.
They should have started off with some accountability, just like how we started, right? Just ask a question. Jimmy Kimmel's not Barbara Walters. I don't expect them to go into this big 60-minute thing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just be like, Ellen, do you want to address a little bit what happened on your show? Just tell the audience. All Ellen has to do is, I apologize at this or that or whatever the reason was.
Yeah.
And then get to that cannabis story. You know
Jeff,
what I mean?
as a comic, he could have come out. I just thought about this. He could have said, Ellen, let's address the rumors because I'm about to send my interns home. There's the first joke out. We get our first chuckle. Now we can discuss this. But instead, they have this weird discussion like she's about to run for office.
Yeah.
What was that?
It's more weird not addressing it than addressing it with the joke, like you said off the top, and then putting it to bed for the rest of the interview. All right, we're perfect here. Coming up on DBL, Chrissy Teigen is opening up about Meghan Markle's kindness during one of her darkest times. And are the Game of Thrones stars about to cash in? Stephanie gives us the deets and What Up Wednesday.
I love What Up Wednesday.
But first,
Closed captioning provided by...
As more and more people get vaccinated against coronavirus, families are looking to travel. But they are running into one roadblock, a lack of rental cars. Let's connect the dots. Excited travelers trying to book a post-pandemic vacation are discovering rental cars are hard to come by, and when you do, it can be pricey. According to reports, when the pandemic hit, rental car companies were hit hard. To make up the difference, they sold off cars. Now that people are heading out again, there are not enough to go around. According to the experts, it won't be easy for rental companies to increase their supply. New cars are also in short supply as car companies deal with a semiconductor chip shortage. So now the big rental companies are trying to shuffle around their existing supply to get cars where travelers need them. Right now, that means warm weather states. So what can you do? At least one person who traveled to Hawaii posted on social media about renting a U-Haul truck when they couldn't find a rental car. But that is not recommended. If you're on a short trip, include more days in your search, which can reveal more options. Also, look beyond traditional rental car companies. Turo is a car-sharing service that lets owners rent out their vehicles, kind of like an Airbnb for cars. Connecting the dots, Michael Aaron, THV 11 News.
Welcome back to DBL. I'm Stephanie Jones, here to dish the week's best celeb gossip. Like, has Tom Cruise found a new leading lady? And just how much did the Game of Thrones cast members earn? It's What Up Wednesday. But first, we're heading to Los Angeles to see how Lizzo is holding up after she admitted to drunkenly sliding into her crush, Chris Evans' DMs. Lizzo posted a screenshot to her followers saying, "Don't drink and DM," after she appeared to literally shoot her shot to Captain America himself by a way of 3 emojis: a puff of wind, a sports player, and a basketball. Here's what she had to say about her unrequited love.
The reason I'm upset about this one is because I know I'm not going to be able to marry him. And honestly, it hurts me to the core because damn Papa, he a rare breed, no comparing.
Well, you wouldn't know that chivalry isn't dead, and Chris did in fact reply directly to Lizzo, assuring her that there's no shame in a drunken DM. God knows, I've done worse on this app. And here's what's up. The worst bit that he's referring to was a very not safe for work photo he accidentally posted last year, and thankfully nothing is forgotten on the internet. Next, we're going to my neck of the woods, North Yorkshire, England, where things are apparently heating up on the set of Tom Cruise's 7th installment of Mission Impossible. Much to the shock of locals, Tom was seen taking off and landing in a helicopter in true Ethan Hunt style, aka by piloting it himself. But what caused even more of a stir was the outing he and co-star Hayley Atwell had after filming had reportedly wrapped. Here's what's up. Tom Cruise hasn't had a high-profile romance since his epic split from Katie Holmes back in 2012, so perhaps this is lucky number 7, Mission Impossible 7, that is for Mr. Cruise. If not, at least he knows how to make a quick getaway. And finally, we're sticking around across the pond and headed to London, where the Game of Thrones rich list has been released, and you'll never guess the fortunes that have been made as a result of the show. In our top 6, we've got NIKOLAJ COSTER-WALDAU, aka JAIME Lannister, who's worth a cool $14 million, while little brother Tyrion Lannister, aka Peter Dinklage, comes in at $13.1 million. Then we've got Jason Momoa as Khal Drogo, who's got a net worth of just over $12 million. And his lady love Daenerys Targaryen, aka Emilia Clarke, comes in at just over 11. And then who could forget Kit Harington as Jon Snow, who's got $10.5 million in the bank. And we've got to give a shout out to everyone's favourite Jonas, Sophie Turner, who's worth $7 million as Sansa Stark. But who takes the cake? None other than Sean Bean, who played the ill-fated Ned Stark and only lasted 1 season. His fortune tops out at $23.6 million after that role. And here's what's up. If anyone's in the market for a career change, just find one of the biggest blockbuster TV shows to ever exist and try not to get killed off. And even if you do, you could still come out on top. That's it for this week's What Up Wednesday. We'll be right back.
We all know that movement is like medicine.
Researchers have shown teenagers should get about 9 hours of sleep a night, but thanks to school and social demands, that doesn't always happen. The problem is even worse for teens with ADHD, who report lower quality sleep than their counterparts. In fact, doctors used to think sleep deprivation could be to blame for ADHD. Now a researcher at Cincinnati Children's Hospital has done a study on students, half with ADHD, half without. 20% of kids with ADHD got less than 7 hours of sleep on school nights. In the other group, that number was 10%. That lack of sleep was associated with lower test scores for both groups. So what can parents and teens do? Keep beds for sleep only. That helps train the brain to associate going to bed with going to sleep. Also keep a strict bedtime routine. That helps all teens, but especially kids with ADHD. The study's author even suggests teachers to keep an eye out for sleepy kids so they can alert their parents if there's a problem.
Welcome back to DBL. Prince Harry is back in LA. He's ours again, Steph. And reunited with his wife, Meghan Markle, who is expecting a baby girl soon. That means he won't be with his grandmother, the Queen, to celebrate her birthday. She turns 95 today. Happy birthday to the Queen. But meantime, Meghan is getting major props from Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy told Andy Cohen on the Watch What Happens Live after show that the Duchess reached out to her after she lost her son Jack last year. Let's watch.
She had written me about baby Jack and loss, but yeah, she is really wonderful and so kind and just as kind as everyone says she is. That's why you look at everything and you're like, my God, what is absolutely wrong with people where they have to make this person out to be so malicious or so crazy, when it's just as simple as them being as kind as everybody says they are.
Very casual interview. I kind of dig that.
I dug that too. Yeah. I was just like,
I didn't say it like that.
No, I was like, what a nice house. That's how you know I'm 43. I know she was like barely dressed in that, and I was like, look at that window back there. That when you get to be a certain age, I'm the age where you just look at somebody, I'm like, that's a nice suit he's got on.
All right, back to the question at hand. Steph, what do you think about this?
Sorry, I'm just getting a moment from Al.
When me and Al give each other those faces, it's hard to get away from that.
No, sorry. I think it was a beautiful sofa and beautiful house.
Were you thinking the same thing? What were you thinking?
I actually thought Chrissy looked amazing. I thought she didn't look like she made much effort, but she looked flawless. Look at her. She's.
We all agree.
I think she's so gorgeous, and I know people. She's like Marmite. If you know what Marmite is, you either love her or hate her. I love her.
I bought some Marmite. And I was going to bring it in today, but I was late for our first interview.
He's been saying this for about a year.
I'll bring it tomorrow. I bought Vegemite too, and we're going to do a Marmite Vegemite challenge. But here's
I'm down.
Yes, we'll do that.
Are we going to talk about what happened here?
Yes, I was, and this is what I was going to say. This is what I was thinking about when I was watching this interview. Besides the nice backdrop she had, I was like, this is what Ellen should have done. Ellen should have gone on Red Table Talk and talked it out with the ladies.
That would have been good.
Uncensored, and just like, because they would ask real questions. Then you move it on down to Andy Cohen. You kind of have a fun but serious interview, looking casual. Maybe even you and Portia sitting there like, hey, I messed up. You know, things happened, and this is why. I kind of explain that.
I don't think Ellen wants to be put in that seat. I think she'll do anything to not be in that seat.
I feel you, but then don't go to Jimmy Kimmel and have a weird interview. I'm just saying, don't say no.
Again, it just shows to me that she's really out of touch, and her team is really out of touch. I mean, someone should be saying hello.
Let's go back to Chrissy Teigen, though.
Oh, yeah.
Not what she looks like, about Meghan Markle helping her out, right? So I've never, to be real right now, okay? I've never lost a child. I don't know what that is. But my wife openly went through postpartum, right? And we needed to reach out to other people to get some help to understand what was going on. And that helped her. Chrissy Teigen and Meghan Markle, they really helped each other. And you look at celebrities as these bigger-than-life people that aren't humans. They're human beings that are going through real emotions, and they leaned on each other in this case. I think it's a great story.
I think, by the sounds of it, it sounds as though Chrissy hasn't met Meghan, but it sounds as though Meghan was incredibly supportive and reached out at a time that I imagine was probably the worst of her life.
Definitely.
I think it just goes to show camaraderie and support, and it just goes to show kindness can go a long way, whether you know the person or not, just being genuine and supportive. They've both been very open about their miscarriages. Meghan also spoke up about it. So, you know, empowerment and be there for the other people. If you don't know them and someone shares something like that, there's nothing wrong with sending a nice message and just being supportive, you know?
That's right. The golden rule.
I agree.
And we're going to find out where she got that couch for you.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
By now, you've heard the charges against Officer Chauvin, and so all eyes will now be on sentencing. Here in the Verify team, we want to make sure that we have the facts. Our sources are a pair of Minnesota legal experts, Rachel Moran and Rachel Polos, both from the University of St. Thomas. First, here are the max sentences: 40 years for second-degree murder, 25 years for third-degree murder, and 10 years for second-degree manslaughter. But our experts emphasize that these can't be stacked, meaning that the absolute max sentence is 40 years. But Minnesota law uses something called presumptive sentences, which sets a typical range of penalties for those with no prior convictions, in this case between 10.5 years and 15 years. And the only way to give a higher sentence than that is if there are so-called aggravating factors.
The aggravating factors, a few of them are present in this case. One of them is whether children were present for the crime. Another is whether the defendant was in a position of authority and abused that authority. A third relevant one is whether the victim was in a vulnerable position.
Now, we should note that Chauvin waived his right to have a jury look at those factors, so it's going to be up to the judge, Peter Cahill. Last important factor, our experts tell us that under Minnesota law, 2/3 of a sentence is served in prison, the rest under supervised release.
The judge, of course, could impose a higher sentence than the guidelines suggest, but he can't change that 2/3 rule.
With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
DBL.
I'll just be really 100. We always pull the curtain back on this show.
The most diverse team of voices in daytime.
You know I love you, and I feel that.
We're known for our authentic take.
I'm thrilled about it.
I can't.
You aren't shocked.
Have you guys all gone insane?
And no holds barred approach.
And that's the problem that we're talking about.
Get real.
On what everybody is talking about.
You just gave me chills. Thank you for that. I feel like you just spoke for every single viewer that is watching right now.
Welcome back to DBL. It's time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. The Federal Trade Commission wants you to be aware of the so-called grandparent scam. I don't like this at all. Basically, scammers are calling the elderly and pretending to be their grandchildren. The crooks tell them they're in trouble and need cash. Remember to think twice when it comes to these calls and always let your family know. When it comes to your financial assets, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. Call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. How do you sleep at night? You know what I mean? How do you sleep at night?
It's terrible.
Yeah, this has been going on. This has been going on forever. I saw it happen in my family. It's a real thing. So
it is.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking. All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place.